Auth66, day 17. I've got some notes here. A little bit, not emotional, but proud, contemplative. Has me thinking of a lot of things today. Today was my youngest graduation from grade 6. I know it doesn't seem like a time to graduate, but it is in the school that he goes to. They do a step up into grade 7 and 8 as middle school. So grade 6 is, this time where they go from being in elementary school into something a little bit more mature. And they do a big celebration for it. So when we first started at the school with my son, he was dealing with anxiety. He has ADHD as well. We switched him to a private school because every day his anxiety would get so bad. He would chew through his clothes. There were a lot of meltdowns. There were a lot of difficult times, and there were large classes and a lot of things that he had to combat in being in public school. And we thought maybe a smaller space, especially after we got the results of his MRI that showed that he had some white matter lesions on his brain. We thought a smaller classroom, a smaller pace would be really helpful for him. But one thing that would always kick up his anxiety was having to do any kind of public speaking or any kind of being in front of the class, or having, to be the center of attention in general, getting in trouble, his terms. And watching him today, he volunteered to get up and give a little speech. And I just got to see how far he had come, not just from a perspective of learning new things or of growing as a person, but in his own emotional intelligence in order to be able to advocate for what he needs. Like, if I'm going to get up and I'm going to do, a speech, and I'm going to do these presentations, then I need time to practice. I need to go through it with somebody. It's not that I can't do it. It's just I might need more preparation than somebody else does. And it, that plus a conversation I had at the lunch table with some fellow employees, colleagues, team members, that stood out to me. And I was thinking about emotional intelligence, or EQ. Being in a technical field, I work with a lot of people here who have a high IQ, and you kind of have to be intelligent. I mean, you have to be intelligent for a lot of reasons, but you should be intelligent to work in this type of environment, because there's a lot of things that come at you. There's a lot of problem solving. There's a lot of adjusting and variables that you have to be able to take into an account. But sometimes when you work in that binary fashion, or ones and zeros of computers, the emotional intelligence can be the hardest thing. And I think it's one of the things that I actually find as a strength for myself. Something that I feel like I have maybe a better handle on than some of the people who we've had come here. And I think there's actually been some people who have a better handle on it than me. But in any case, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about what we could talk about. And I just want to first really accurately define what it means. So having emotional intelligence isn't, just being able to understand those around you and, how they're feeling, and what might be their motivations and what drives them, but it's also being able to manage your own emotions. So like self-awareness and self-regulation, how you're motivated, how other people are motivated, having empathy, so being able to step into someone else's shoes, and even if you don't agree with them, being able to see things from their side. And then social skills, and these things all mean different things, and you can look up definitions if you want, but for most of these things, I feel like they're a strength for me. There are some areas, though, where I could be better, and I kind of wanted to talk about those, because I think the Auth66 journey isn't just about self-reflection for the sake of sharing and hoping somebody else learns, but also because I want people to hear that, this is not a soapbox for me. I'm not perfect in any of these things, and there's lots of things to learn and room to grow. For me specifically, I think I'd like to blame it partially on ADHD, but I think it might be just birth order. It might be a mix of a bunch of things, but I can struggle in conversations. Either I don't know who I'm talking to, so I'm a little bit nervous. And yes, I get nervous, even though anybody who's met me thinks I'm an extrovert. I am mostly an extrovert, but I have introverted tendencies when I'm not sure where I belong. And I struggle sometimes too because I have these ideas, or my brain will fire on something, and then it's not necessarily my turn, but I might interrupt, or I might want to like get it in there. And I know that's frustrating. I don't like it when it happens to me. It's happened to me a lot as a woman. But I just try to marry the idea of like, how do I learn to be better at not interrupting or not taking more time talking than I should, but also still getting these ideas out. So like one of the things I've been doing for the Auth66 stuff is I actually write down just some quick notes. Not because I want to stick to the notes, because I'm definitely not sticking to them right now, but mostly because I want to make sure I've covered these things. And if I realize that, we're almost at the 6-minute mark and I've only got a certain way onto the page, I have to hurry it up, right? So these little things that I do. So writing notes is one of them. And then sometimes I will repeat certain things in my head, so make sure I don't forget it. And I'll remind myself, if you've heard your voice too much, you need to stop. It's a practice. I'm working on it. It's not a skill I'm great at. That's part of the self-awareness to go, yeah, I still need to work on it. And I have to also work on the confidence piece. So most people who've met me would probably assume that I'm fairly confident. That means I'm probably really great at portraying that. I'm very much not. I have my own anxieties. Anybody who's been next to me when I am about to ride on a roller coaster that I'm terrified of probably can see what that looks like. I have little things that I do to try and calm myself down. But realistically, I think everybody has an issue with confidence in some shape or form. And I think that's probably not a surprise for other people. I don't like the idea of fake it until you make it, but I do like the idea of let's practice until I get it down. And that's kind of what I feel like I do sometimes, is just practice. I mean, Auth66 videos in and of themselves are a practice. They're a practice of putting yourself out there, your ideas out there, creating cohesive thoughts, maybe sometimes not so cohesive, so people can see how your brain works. And, I think a lot of this is just literally, let's practice, let's try, let's put ourselves out there, and then have the awareness to be able to measure, how it's working. How do you feel? And how are people receiving it? And then make adjustments from there. Not that dissimilar if you think about it from troubleshooting. It's just applying the problem-solving skills in a different way. Anyway, that's my Auth66 for today. See you tomorrow.